Okay, it's early in the morning, and we just got up. And one of the first things I have to consider in the morning is like where to take the kids to use the bathroom and where to clean up. Well, first thing I do, since we just spent the night at a local rest stop, is to go to a local park, which is where we're at right now. The teenager just got up to go use the restroom, get cleaned up, and change her clothes. Once she comes back, then I will be taking my youngest one to the bathroom to get cleaned up and to change her clothes as well. So that's one of the first things we do in the morning. As you follow me a little later, I will be making phone calls to agencies such as shelters and other homeless service providers. Ta-da! All changed, clean, and ready to go for calling places for help. Basically, this is to show you what you're going to hear when you try to call a shelter or another service provider. I went to the library and made a printout of all the shelters in the Seattle area, and out of all of them, only 10 are family shelters. The rest are either for single women or single men. And here's a problem that I kind of have with that setup, and that is families have a hard time staying together if the only room they can find is for women with children only, and then the men, the dads, have to be separated and sent on to a men's shelter. So what I'm going to do is suggest that maybe we could do something to have more family shelters. I know there's a lot more involved to get them actually up and running, but it is a problem that in a lot of places there aren't enough family shelters, and sometimes there aren't even enough shelters for single men and women, so there's something that we can all try to work on improving. The first place I'm going to call is actually Solid Ground Family Shelter.
Hello, you have reached the Family Shelter Program of Solid Ground. Please leave the following information after the tone: your name, the number of people in your family who need help, and a telephone number where we can reach you. Please know that we do not keep a waiting list, and we are unable to return calls until space becomes available. If you need further information, shelter numbers, or resources, please contact the Community Information Line at 206-461-3222. Thank you for calling. Please leave a message at the tone. When finished, you may hang up or press pound for additional options.
Call number one. Let's try another one. Oh, by the way, there is a shelter, and this is interesting, I thought. Union Gospel Mission does have a shelter line, but we missed the deadline because it's past 8 o'clock, and there's only a half-hour window in which you can actually call to talk to an intake person, and that window is from 8:30 to 9 a.m. So it makes it kind of hard when you're driving around trying to get your kids taken care of, and you only have a half-hour window to call if you have minutes on your cell phone. Here's another suggestion to a lot of you providers: if you don't have a 1-800 number, or somebody could call you from a public phone, it makes it hard for them to call you at all. Okay, this next call is going to HopeLink, and they're actually located in the north end, so let's see what they sound like.
Shelter screening line. There are no immediate openings at this time, but if you would like to complete a phone screening, please leave your name and number, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. For other housing resources, please contact 211. Thank you.
Okay, I did call 211, and you know what they told me? They told me that all of the shelter numbers they actually gave me, there is either a waiting list or you have to just keep calling them to let them know that you need help. Well, this has been this way ever since I've been homeless, as a matter of fact, and that's been quite a few years now. It's one of the reasons why I just keep working 2 jobs and live out of the van the best I can to save up money to get out of this. But when the economy tanked, anything I saved was spent in gas money and, of course, cell phone minutes. So you just heard what it sounds like for 2 numbers. I could sit here and actually video all the numbers I do call for shelters, and you will get the same thing. It's basically you have to call, leave a message, and most of the time you're going to find out that there are no immediate openings. So what are people supposed to do? And here's another thing. If you try to call DSHS, they're going to tell you or refer you back to 211. And here's the thing about Section 8, which is HUD housing. If you go to the HUD's website online, look it up for your state because every state's different, you'll notice here in Washington State that to apply for HUD has been closed for a few years. And if you do get a application for Section 8, you will be applying to be put on a waiting list for a minimum of 3 years. Just read a story not too long ago about a young lady who was in Oregon, and she had been on the waiting list for 10 years. Here's the problem with those vouchers. You have 120 days to use them or find housing, but if you don't find housing, guess what? The voucher is no good. You have to start the process all over again. Not only that, some landlords don't want to take Section 8. And there is a conception, it might be true, I think in my case it never has been, where some of the renters on Section 8, well, they don't take care of the rental properties as well as they could. So what that does is put a negative picture into the minds of potential landlords. So the next call that I make is actually going to be, say you want to call DSHS, which is Department of Social and Health Services. You may call it something a little bit different in your state, but it's pretty much the same thing. It's what they call welfare. When you call these numbers, I want you to, even if you're not applying for help, go ahead just for fun, call one and see what kind of phone tree you end up in. And if you can navigate your way to actual live customer service person, then you'll begin to know what it sounds like to deal with the bureaucracy. Ooh, apologize for coming to you with all this humidity. It's just making my hair really frizzy, but oh well. This is the call to DSHS, so I'd like you to hear what it sounds like when you call them.
You've reached the DSHS Community Services Office. To continue in English, press 1 now. Para instrucciones en español. Our answer phone self-service system can give you information about your food, cash, or medical benefits, document status, child care, or medical premium. If you have a client ID or social security number and would like to use the answer phone system, press 1. Otherwise, press 2 to be transferred to the customer service call center. In order to be transferred to the call center, I need to collect some information. If you know your client ID, press 1. If you know your 9-digit social security number, press 2. Otherwise, please enter your 9-digit social security number followed by the pound key. You are being transferred. Please hold. The call center is now closed. Our phone hours have changed. Our temporary phone hours are 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Please call back between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. If you have an emergency that cannot wait until the next business day, you may go to your local community service office to have the situation evaluated.
Okay, that's what you heard just now. I called them earlier and got put into a hold, and then after 10-15 minutes being on hold, the automated system came on and said they are busy now, try your call again later, and then they disconnected. Okay, there's been days where I've done this for 3-4 days before I could actually get a hold to somebody, and I think part of this problem is the deficit that Washington State is facing right now. They had to make a bunch of cutbacks, and one of the first places they did it was with state employees. So now the hours of operation have been cut back, and used to be they were open Monday through Friday, but they're not even open on Friday anymore. And as you just heard, they closed at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday. So I'm pretty sure that this is going on nationally. This isn't just in my state, but now you've just had a little small taste of what it sounds like when you make telephone calls to agencies. Good luck!